Let the laser guys play with lasers. Let the chip guys build chips. And let the math guys do math. Give the nerds enough funding to make exciting discoveries, and otherwise leave us alone. This is the overarching perspective that the counter-revolution in higher education needs to take with respect to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to ensure our peace, prosperity, and dominance over strategic rivals such as China in an increasingly technological world. So let's fill in some details. In this talk, I'm going to make the following 5 arguments. First, as long as STEM is embedded in universities, fixing STEM requires fixing the humanities. Second, we need the right people at the top of all of these institutions. Third, we need to continue to get rid of DEI and anything that stinks of it. Fourth, we need to support blue sky, curiosity-driven research. And now I'm going to be challenge you a little bit potentially and be a little bit provocative. Fifth, strengthening the nation requires welcoming top STEM talent from around the world. Since I suspect this point will be the most controversial one here, I'm going to discuss it in a little more detail, and I look forward to talking about it later in the panel. So point 1, STEM is not in isolation. What happens in the humanities is incredibly important and probably central in a university. Wokeism came out of the humanities, and it is fundamentally a bad metaphysics. We need humanists who can sustain true metaphysics and a correct anthropology, or the environment in universities will continue to be hostile to STEM. To be a bit more concrete, STEM isn't going to work if we have so-called other ways of knowing elbowing their way into it, such as feminist geology and post-colonial physics, which I've seen both of these in actual physics and geology journals and conferences. You can't do biology or medicine if you're confused about the concept of male and female. I think my colleagues on this panel and some of you in the audience are better situated to discuss reforming the humanities, and I look forward to hearing more about that. Second point, we need the right people at the top. So first of all, we have Carlos Carvalho here. He's the perfect example. He's been the president of the University of Austin for only 3 months, and he's already revolutionized the institution. So we heard what he had to say before. And I also recommend the material that they put out on Substack and Twitter to get an idea of what reform can and should look like. More generally, leadership across STEM needs to be replaced with people committed to reform. Unless the directors of agencies, editors of scientific journals, and presidents of major universities believe that the truth exists and that we should be trying to pursue it, we're not going to get anywhere. The corollary of this is that anyone in a leadership position who tacitly or actively supported the woke stuff has to go. This includes leaders who imposed discriminatory hiring, issued woke statements on social and political issues, and punished anyone who disagreed. There need to be real consequences to discourage this kind of thing from happening again. Every dean has to fear the future consequences of refusing to hire an Asian or white man to a faculty position, and every university president needs to think twice before issuing statements in support of the woke cause of the day. The Christopher Eisgrupers and Holden Thorpes, so that's the president of Princeton and chief editor of Science magazine, of the world need to be shown the door. This isn't about revenge. There's just no way forward without ensuring that the leadership are committed to excellence. The best reform plan isn't going to work if the people who made the mess are still in charge. Third point. The Trump administration has made incredible progress getting wokeism out of higher education, and this needs to continue. Wokeism is toxic for science. Scientific progress requires a striving, competitive atmosphere that allows the smartest people to advance the best ideas and be rewarded for doing so. Wokeism stifles this by denying merit and promoting skepticism of excellence. It tries to control and manage everything to enforce group-based outcomes. It tries to ensure that only approved narratives are published and promoted, whether they are consistent with the evidence or not. Wokeism imposes a false and unscientific orthodoxy which kills creativity and free thinking, ironically under the slogan, "Trust the science." Just like managed economies produce economic collapse and starvation, managed woke science produces idiocy. The biggest source of wokeism in STEM is diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. The Trump administration is right to have targeted DEI, and this needs to continue. All DEI offices and efforts should be closed permanently, and it's crucial that they not be allowed to reemerge under different names. Their staff need to be let go, and all administrators who promoted them need to be out of leadership positions. Okay, so probably the first 3 points most people agree with, and now I'm going to get into the more challenging section. So point 4, and this is a little bit in contrast with what the administration has prioritized, so it's a bit of a pushback, is that I want to talk about the importance of curiosity-driven or blue sky research. Supporting immediately patentable technological development and entrepreneurial applications is important, but this shouldn't be done completely at the expense of funding basic scientific research. An excessive focus on current applications risks preventing the innovation that produces future applications. Almost all of the technological gadgets that underline American prosperity and security originated in scientific advances based on curiosity-driven research. For example, basic research on quantum mechanics eventually led to lasers. Basic research on artificial neural networks eventually led to large language models like Grok. It took decades for these technologies to develop from scientific discoveries, and the original researchers had no idea what the technological applications would be. Putting the nation on a strong footing technologically in the long term therefore requires robust funding for basic science through NSF, NIH, NASA, DOE, and DoD. Point 5, part of the counter-revolution in higher education should be promoting conditions that encourage top global scientific talent to come to join and contribute to our nation. So first I'm going to start with a little bit of evidence and then some personal stories. So for the evidence, nearly half of American Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or the children of immigrants. Those companies have a combined revenue of $8 trillion and employ 15 million people. Immigrant founders, including Elon Musk, are also responsible for most of Silicon Valley's billion-dollar startups. In 2011, 3/4 of the patents from America's top 10 patent-producing universities had an immigrant inventor. Research by immigrant scientists produced wealth and has increased the standard of living, including eradicating polio, Sabin, and making the graphics processing units that are driving the artificial intelligence revolution, Huang. Facilitating immigrant research in the US isn't charity, it's good business. Since World War II, American national security has depended on the work of foreign scientists such as Enrico Fermi, Johnny von Neumann, and Edward Teller. The contribution of immigrant scientists has been immense and incredibly beneficial to the nation and its stature. Nearly half of Nobel Prizes awarded to Americans since 2000 have gone to immigrants. Competition with China requires that we continue to draw top scientific talent. If we don't, China will, to the detriment of our economy, national security, and nation. And so now a few personal stories. First, Carlos is Exhibit A. He was born in Brazil and is an immigrant to our nation, but as his hunting buddy, I can tell you he's more American than your average American. And also he has a fully stocked gun closet. So listen to him like we did earlier, and you can listen to him in other forums to hear his passion for America and for freedom. He's exactly the sort of person that we want to attract and retain, and the retaining is an important component of this. We want to retain people like that to strengthen the nation. Next, consider Princeton mathematician Sergio Kleinerman and chemist from USC, Anna Krylov, who are my friends. Both were born under socialism in Eastern Europe, escaped it, and are now enthusiastic proponents of American exceptionalism who have led the fight against wokeism in STEM. I also have a colleague, Jonathan Jiang, at Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who grew up under Chinese socialism, came to America, contributed to our technological progress, and became a loyal citizen with a flag in his office, who often tells stories about his family suffered under China and how proud and lucky he is to be an American. Immigrant scientists of this high caliber strengthen our nation technically, but also provide a much needed reminder of how great our nation is and how important it is to cherish and protect it. Now, 2 caveats I want to make for this 5th point. The first is we need to continue to produce homegrown talent and not exclusively come to depend on a class of immigrant technical elite. And I think that getting rid of wokeism and DEI in our educational institutions is going to go a long way to helping produce that homegrown talent. The second is that the government absolutely needs to screen applicants for anti-Americanism, and it must retain the right to send home anyone who misbehaves. Okay, so now I'm just going to review my argument and then I'm going to be done. My main theme is that we need to set up conditions so that STEM can thrive and then pretty much leave the nerds alone and they're going to do their thing and we're going to get new technology and a stronger nation. My argument is that this involves, number one, fixing the humanities, number two, replacing leadership who were complicit in the woke outrages, number three, completely eliminating DEI and anything that smells of it in any way or is connected at all. Number four, supporting blue sky, curiosity-driven research. And number five, welcoming top STEM talent from around the world, truly top talent. I look forward to continuing the discussion with all of you and with the panel. Thank you.